I'm John Davis, and I'm a professor of practice in sustainability and also director for the Center for Sustainable Business Practices at the Lundquist College of Business at the University of Oregon. SBP specialization is for people who are interested in a couple different things. Either they've come out of several years of work and now entering the program as a pivot to a new area in their career. Perhaps they didn't study or work in sustainability, but now they want to have impact. And so this is a pivot point for them. And for others who have worked in it for a few years before coming to the program, it's a way to build on their knowledge and gain insight into the areas. And either way, we tend to get a student who's a bit more mature, who's been around for a few years before they come back into the program. When you look at study tours, we do both domestic trips and international trips with the MBA students to visit with companies in different markets and different cities, not only to learn about what business is like in those places, but also to learn about the cultural nuances, because that really helps. That's the first part. The second piece to it is that they get involved in a lot of coursework related projects in each of the different classes. And so it's not just theory that they learn, which is of course also important in any MBA program, but they also gain the applied knowledge towards how to have impact in organizations in a meaningful way. And so those are the course-related projects. Another dimension to this is they can get involved in student clubs that work with companies and other organizations seeking to make some kind of change or broader sustainability-related impact in the work that they do. And then they also help lead, and this is what's really exciting as well, and it's something we created a few years ago. We run an annual conference now called the Summit for Sustainable Organizations, and it's a 2-day event. In fact, the next one's coming up in April of 2026, and it's focused on sustainability across the broad range of sustainability dimensions, and the students organize it. They attract the speakers, they put the entire event together. So in all those areas and more, the students get very direct hands-on learning. The final piece to it is in their second year of the MBA program, their capstone project, which we called SPP, which stands for Strategic Planning Projects. They work directly with an organization that's seeking to move the needle, that's trying to do something more impactful. Perhaps they want to do an LCA project, perhaps they want to work on decarbonization, or they're looking to move into new markets in order to broaden their sustainability credentials. Any of those things the students work on as well. So there's a lot of hands-on kinds of activities that they undertake. The Net Impact organization is actually a national group here in the U.S. in which different chapters exist in different universities, and our graduate chapter of Net Impact is one example. It's a voluntary organization. The students join it in order to work with companies on projects throughout the year. And so companies come to our Net Impact group and they focus for several months on trying to resolve or help them dive deeper into research to understanding a sustainability problem, but also how to implement it and how to directly affect it. As I mentioned earlier, there's projects within courses, and it depends on the course and what they're doing. If it's a double materiality assessment, it may be a deep dive in that space. If it's more of a strategic analysis, it may be a deep dive in that space. And so in all those cases, they gain pretty direct, hands-on experience and consulting related activities. And even when they go on the immersive learning trips that I mentioned, while those are more, let's go visit a company, let's spend time with them, learn what the leaders are working on, what's animating their world. At the same time, they're also gaining insight about what it's like to be in that observer's seat of evaluating what a company's doing right, what it's doing wrong, to the company's own admission. And the students come away with a really rich set of insights that they can then use to apply to other projects in which they work. It's divided into two areas. There's the core courses that they're required to take in the specialization, then there are the electives as well. And so let me talk about the core courses first. When they enroll in the MBA program, in addition to the regular MBA topics, they also take Sustainable Business Development, which is the entry course into the specialization. When I say entry, it's not simplistic. It's just simply the beginning to get them acquainted with, if they're not familiar with, the vernacular and the literacy and the fluency of the vocabulary in the space, let alone understanding certifications and other dimensions of it. That then leads into industrial ecology, which builds on that. It's a next term course. They then take a course in life cycle assessment, which is a very technical course. and concluding with in the second year, as I mentioned earlier, the strategic planning projects, the SPPs, which are the capstone projects. So those are the core courses that they take. This is also fun too, right? Because they're not only building on the base that they got from the core courses, but now they can steer the direction where they want to go with it in particular. So we have a lot of students who are interested in clean energy, the energy sector. So we have a course in clean energy finance. We've also taught over time the business of food or food security or regenerative agriculture related to that. Sustainability in sports, because as you look at the increasing importance of sports, professional sports in particular around the world, but any level of sport, more and more of the concern is now if we're going to build new venues for the Olympics or FIFA World Cup, the question is how sustainable is that over time? Are there more effective built environment avenues that those organizations can pursue that reduce the carbon impact of those events? And then they can also take a course in transforming organizations into a force for good, which is a leadership-oriented course. How do you help an organization that has been successful for many years in a particular way to do business, but now wants to shift it? And so in the extreme example, you might say a fossil fuel company that really wants to move into renewables. It's not like you can just flip a light switch to make that happen. So what are the leadership capabilities you need? How do you lead teams? How do you collaborate? How do you build in operational practices into the organization in order to make that transformation happen? And that can take many months to many years to make it effective and work. But the idea behind it is, what do you need to do as a leader inside an organization to be able to affect that kind of change? And so a wide range of topics like that are available to the students that they can build on their initial core interest. The study tours, the immersive learning experiences, or we also call them experiential learning trips, have occurred in two different areas. So one is domestic and the other is international. So let me talk about domestic first. We've gone to New York, the Bay Area and Silicon Valley. We spent time in Seattle or Portland, Oregon. So a wide range of major metropolitan areas. And in those cases, they spend several days meeting with leaders of companies and the organizations to understand what they're doing in the world of sustainability, what their footprint is like, the kinds of initiatives they have underway, the challenges they're facing. And those are really engaging conversations. We usually do 2 to 3 visits a day. And these are not academic tours, and these are actually deep, immersive times to spend with these organizations where the students can come away with a much deeper appreciation for what they're doing. And that helps them understand how to then apply it to the coursework and other projects that they work on. The other piece to it are the international trips. And so we've gone to a wide range of different cities over the last few years. We've gone to London and Paris. We've gone to Singapore and Bangkok. And in all those instances, similar to what we do domestically, we arrange visits with companies in those markets that are expending a fair amount of energy and investment on transforming into becoming more of a sustainable organization, into becoming that force for good. And what's interesting about the international trips, of course, is that the students then gain insight about the cultural practices, because that also informs how business is conducted in those markets. And it does differ than here in the US or in Europe, places like that. So they're incredibly enriching experiences, and the students always come away with this buzz of excitement around what they've gained from that. And it's hard to put it into simple words, but I will say that it is one of those things that I think profoundly changes them. We look at it from what I call the T-shaped leader, so the letter T. And what I mean by that is the vertical part of the T is the technical side. Earlier, I mentioned LCA, which is life cycle assessment, which is a very technical course, for example, and we have other courses like that in the specialization. And that gives students the tools and capabilities to understand the quantitative dimensions, the statistical needs, the frameworks, and the models that they need to apply in order to assess and evaluate data that informs a company's life cycle of products, for example, from cradle to gate or even cradle to grave, as they call it. And that vertical part is really important because you want people who are well informed in the field. The horizontal part of the T, the top part of the T, is more around the leadership. How do you as an individual gain insight about taking your area of specialization and then broadly applying it across the organization to different departments, different disciplines, different functions, different geographies, in a way that helps you create much more of an understanding about how to create collaborative environments. How do you work with others well? And those are really underserved skills in a lot of cases that we really feel important for students to come away from, because at the end of the day, when a student enters the market, companies want them not just to be technically proficient, but they also want them to be able to work with others effectively too. And in both cases, you have to balance that. So you may end up in a career where you're much more technically vertical, and that's fine. You can specialize in that, almost like a scientific path. But the other piece to it is that for people who just want to run businesses and or organizations or divisions, that horizontal lens is critical too. So that's why we see that balance as a vital integration of skill sets. We are one and the same. So the specialization itself is a byproduct of what we do at the Center for Sustainable Business Practices. And so many of the activities I've described already, including the curricular activities, are housed within the center. The faculty as well are participants in the center, and the students, of course, the projects in which they undertake are a part of that too. The center really helps define what that learning journey is going to be like for the students. And that does encapsulate the other things that I've mentioned before: the immersive learning trips, the annual Summit for Sustainable Organizations event, net impact, how we approach different types of things like students going out and conducting field studies, whatever it might be. All those things are a part of what the center conducts. And we also run a weekly seminar where we bring in experts each week, where the students can spend time for an hour and a half or so hearing from that particular leader or expert, and just have a lovely roundtable discussion. It's much more around the students engaging with these people, and so all those pieces come together in the center. So that's why I say they're one and the same. The career outcomes have been really remarkable over the years. So we've had students who've joined Unilever, in the large, big company, Fortune 500 scale. They've joined Nike, they've joined Columbia Sportswear, they've joined consulting firms like WSP and ERM, Green Grid, the Department of Energy, Sony, Pacificorp, Allstate. Honestly, it runs the gamut. And in each of those instances, or Amazon for that matter too, in each of those instances, they have found their way into a sustainability role, either over time as they enter the organization or directly out of coming out of the program. And what's good about that is we want people who can enter and work in a company where they can have influence about how the company changes its trajectory over time. And that also means helping the students understand how to facilitate those kinds of conversations in the companies that I mentioned and more, which to me is the best part about this. Is we want the world to understand that this is actually a really important area for companies to pay attention to. It's not once in a while, it's a real world need. And so students who come in informed on that can enter directly into those sustainability roles in large and small companies, but they can also move into other roles that are adjacent in supply chain or whatever, and then have influence because of their knowledge in the space. First part of my career was in business. So I was in startups. I did a couple of startups. I then worked in Fortune 500 companies at the executive level. And so I have the lens on businesses, both small and large. And that has informed a lot of my view about the potential business has to create meaningful change in organizations. But the other piece to that too is that when I shifted into academia, which really kind of happened by happenstance, it wasn't as if I designed it that way. I got invited to teach, and the next thing I know, I'm spending the rest of my career in academia and teaching. And it's gotten me connected to companies around the world. I lived for nearly 20 years in Singapore. And in that work in Singapore, I worked with companies in more than 40 countries. And so that broad spectrum of experiences has really informed my outlook at how business can affect meaningful change. And I say that because a lot of organizations are struggling with this. It's really easy for business to kind of continue to do the same things it's always done because that's what they've known. And it's really risky to try to move into a new direction. But as the world continues to change, as global warming continues to unfold, as we're seeing more catastrophic weather events worldwide, the reality is that businesses are at risk. And so those understandings have been a part of the work I've done over the last 20 years in working with companies, and the way they've understood how to best create meaningful change in their organizations, the struggles that they have. What does it mean to have a team of leaders in the organization try to figure out how to do something differently than they've always done, which is really uncomfortable, and yet at the same time realizing the benefits once they start to practice it and get better at it and shift the needle of the organization toward a much more positively impactful worldview. So I say that because that's so much of what has informed my work, from the books I've written to the work I do now with students, to working with companies on leadership development. All of that is around this idea of a change is possible, but it happens because people make it happen. And people make it happen because they know that the world around us is changing faster than we can otherwise adjust to. So we need to figure out ways to be as agile as possible. And so much of my work comes out of that.